I hereby call the Brockton School Committee to order, it being Wednesday, September 6, 2023, 7 o'clock. We're in the George M. Romm Little Theater here at Brockton High School. I would respectfully ask you to stand and salute our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I need to read the following into the record. Welcome to the meeting of the Brockton School Committee. This is the agenda that will be discussed this evening. Please note the hearing of visitors is included. If you have a statement or question, please give your name to the secretary. Mrs. Campbell have given me those that have signed in. In addition to attending, the public can view this link, this meeting, via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also the 1071 HD version, and on the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. I need to establish a quorum. Mrs. Sullivan? Here. Mr. Homer?
Here.
Vice Chair Ehlers?
Here.
Mrs. Rivas-Mendez?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Zajac?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
The chair is here as well. If those were here on Friday or watching, typically under the school committee meeting on hearing of visitors, it's 3 minutes in length, limited to 15 minutes. I'm going to respectfully ask that we waive this tonight. Is there a motion to waive the 15-minute allotment and allow everybody that signed in to speak tonight, please?
Motion. Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Rodriguez, properly seconded by Ms. Ehlers. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hands. We will waive the 15 minutes. Those that lawfully sign in will be able to speak in 3 minutes. Sarah Spotterford, who is an attorney on behalf of the school committee, will be the timekeeper tonight. I also want to thank the IT folks. There will be a countdown as well to give people ample time. We're here to listen and learn to each and every one of you. Much like I've said in the past, let's please keep respect and courtesy at all times so that we can hear every comment that's going to be extremely important this evening. At this time, I would like to take a moment of personal privilege as the chair, and I would like to just say some things that I'd like to correct for the record. As a lifelong Brocktonian, as a guy that graduated here from Brockton High, as a dad of a child at BPS, but more importantly, as mayor of the city of Brockton and as the chair of the school committee. I was outraged, I was shocked when I learned about the FY23 deficit, which is the previous budget that expired on June 30th. I want to give some context. It was brought to my attention on August 8th by the school CFO, Mr. Petronio, and the deputy superintendent CFO, Mr. Correa. They brought it to my attention, and Mr. Clarkson, the city CFO. At that time, I asked him if we could please meet with Superintendent Thomas. Superintendent came to my office on the 9th. He confirmed that deficit to be factual. I directed everybody in that room that day in my office at City Hall to take immediate action. I asked Troy, I asked Mr. Petronio, I asked Mr. Correa, immediately contact CLA, Clifton, Lass, and Allen. That is our outside auditors. We needed to figure out, number one, what was this budget deficit? How do we address it and lawfully deal with the financial ramifications since the book's already closed on the 30th of June? I also want to let you know that I had directed Superintendent Thomas and also Mr. Petronio, and Mr. Correa was in attendance, witnessed by the CFO, that they needed to address the situation, inform the school committee before the next scheduled meeting, which was the 15th of August. It happened that night after I, as a chair, said, Mr. Petronio, you have something to say about the budget. And he came up and said something about a deficit. He said that he had just made me aware of it and that I directed him. Those are factual. People in this audience know me. Some like me, some don't. That's okay. But I can tell you, I'm telling you the truth right now. It's what we do now, that's going to have long-lasting impacts on the boys and girls, and not just go to Brockton High, but go to the middle schools and the elementary schools. So as mayor, not as chair of the school committee, as mayor, being outraged and figuring out what the hell do we do? What do we do? This is what I've done since we met. At my direction and order, Mr. Clarkson, the CFO, has expanded the system of oversight and budget management to include the school department. This action is effective today. It's going to monitor all funds, but also review any and all contracts that are pending or future contracts. We need to do that. We need to have some concrete oversight. I also called Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll. I asked her, number one, I wanted to apprise her of the situation, But as a former mayor in Salem that dealt with a $3 million school deficit, I wanted to ask her for a guidance, suggestion, and advice, which she has given to me. I also want to let you know that I personally called both the Mass State Auditor, and I asked Diana DeZoglia for assistance. I told her, I'm not hiding anything. Come into the city of Brockton. Turn over every rock. I also called the Inspector General, Mr. Shapiro, told him the same thing. We need to get to the bottom of this. We also have to figure out how we're going to pay for this deficit. The city has had massive conversations, not one conversation, massive conversations with the Department of Revenue, because we have to figure out how we fill this void. I also want to let you know that Mr. Petronio, as the school CFO, and Mr. Correa, as the school deputy CFO, were both put on administrative leave as of last Friday. A lot of people don't know that. I'm going to tell you that's a fact. I want to thank Jim Cobbs for stepping up as acting superintendent. A lot of people would have run from that, so Dr. Cobbs, I want to thank you. I also want to let you know that I contacted Jeff Riley, who's the commissioner of DESE. DESE is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. If you come to these meetings or you watch those, you're an educator, you know that DESE and BPS have the synergy going, right? We have to make sure it continues. I was very frank with Mr. Riley. I told him what I knew at that time, and I would keep in touch. Since Friday, the commissioner and I have spoken 2 times. He has, to his credit, offered us assistance. We have no CFO. We have no deputy CFO right now at administration. He's going to send some folks from DESE, financial experts, that are going to help us in the short term until Dr. Cobbs can fill those spots. I also want to let you know that as mayor, not as a member of this esteemed body, but as mayor, I am also going to seek an independent external audit in addition to those that we voted on Friday by this school committee. That audit is going to be an all-encompassing audit, not just on the school department, on the entire city as a whole. And I have mandated that. We will pay for that. We will figure out how that's going to happen in conjunction with the school committee audit. But you know what? In my view, you can't have too many audits. You cannot have too many audits. I also want to let you know that as we move forward with this external audit and reviews, and this is key, reviews by relevant state agencies, my administration will continue to work fully, cooperatively, and transparent. We trust that those responsible for this unacceptable budgetary failures will truly be held accountable. I am working diligently with Dr. Cobbs, his leadership team, and my fellow elected school committee members to ensure a smooth transition as we begin today, the first day of school. And with that being said, I want to thank the staff and the teachers, and more importantly, the boys and girls. When I dropped my son off today at school, it was a happy day for him, and that's what we need to continue to do. I am committed as mayor, I am committed as a member of the school committee to determine the facts and to continue implementing safeguards so we can focus on having a productive and successful school year for our students, our faculty, our parents, and our guardians. But I'll be honest, and if those that know me, I try to be pretty optimistic. I really am confident that we're going to get through this. It's a serious situation. I'm not minimizing it in any way, but I can continue to say we are better together. I feel that. We will come out stronger, but we have some dark days ahead. So with that being said, I know the vice chair has something, and then I'm going to open it up to any fellow school committee members, and then, of course, I'm going to open it to anybody at the podium that signed in. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As vice chair of this committee, I would like to say a few words to my neighbors in Brockton. Our committee is comprised of concerned citizens that accept responsibility and accountability for making sure our kids get the very best we can. We are a group of ordinary people. We are realtors, corrections officers, higher education employees, guidance counselors, retired contractors that all share a same deep desire to serve our kids. We are you. When you are upset about negative surprises that could impact our kids, so are we, because we are you. To employ an analogy that we can all understand, let's consider what happens every April when we all have to submit our tax returns. Some of us are single, no children, and just one job. Easy tax preparation, we could all agree. But some are married with children and multiple streams of income, businesses, and multiple possible deductions that are extremely complicated. When things get complicated, you need a subject matter expert to know how to perform the task with accuracy. That CPA hired to do that task literally takes on the responsibility for the accuracy of your accounting. Now imagine how complicated the accounting is for a school system in a big city like Brockton, with local money, state money, federal money, and a book of regulations to navigate on how you access that money. We have people we employ to handle that responsibility because we are you, and not CPAs and accountants. And we too were surprised and dismayed that the accounting is showing a drastic shortfall. We, the regular people, rely on that accounting to be accurate and make good decisions for our kids. Right now, we share your emotions and want you to know that we are doing the very best that we can to be done, the very best that we can, and be done by getting an outside accountant to tell us what happened so we can find out why and prevent it from happening in the future. We too are impatient. We too are deeply troubled and concerned. We too want answers instantly and don't want to hear that forensic accounting takes time. We will get to the bottom of this because we are you. We care and want to solve this problem, and thank you for your input and sharing how you feel tonight. We are with you 100%, even though it may not seem that way. We will get the answers, and we will fix this. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Are there any additional members of the Brockton School Committee that would like to have any comments at this time? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. It's more of a statement. As many of us have been receiving phone calls, emails, and it's hard. It's difficult because we're trying to keep up with all these calls and emails, and there's only certain things that we're not able to comment on due to the investigation. So I just, my role as a school committee member is to advocate for the interests of our students and to make informed decisions that will lead to the best possible outcomes for their education. I am committed to working diligently with fellow committee members to address this budget shortfall while safeguarding the quality of education we provide. This may involve making difficult decisions, but I am dedicated to ensuring that these decisions are made transparently, fairly, and with the best interests of our students in mind. As part of the audit review, know that structures and systems for oversight of the school budget will be carefully looked at and strengthened, so this does not happen again. In closing, I want to assure everyone that I am doing my utmost to address the importance of timely communication and working diligently to get back to each and every one of you as soon as possible. Your patience and understanding during this time is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Are there any, Mr. Sullivan, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I have always been here to work with all families and teachers to help solve the issues facing our public schools today. I have always been determined to work towards making sure every child has a successful and safe school year that leads them to a successful life in their choice of college or career after high school. We need to work together positively. Not one of the negative things that I've seen on Facebook or social media has anyone called me on, and I'm a school committee member for 10 years in their ward. The children are watching all this, and it is not fair or right to them to see their schools looked at negatively. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Are there additional any comments at this time? If not, Mr. Rodriguez, please, followed by Mr. Sullivan, please.
I'll let Mr. Sullivan
Mr.
go.
Sullivan?
Yes, mine is just short. I just wanted to say, once these audits are done, the first audit and that second audit you were talking about, Mr. Mayor, I am sure that this school committee, as well as the mayor, is going to come out clean as a whistle. There is nothing that anybody is hiding. This is a mistake or an error in printing or something. But nobody sitting at this table is sitting here with $14 million in their pocket. Believe me, they wouldn't be here. Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, I concur with that. I believe it was overspending, but the audit will determine what that is. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is sad. I'm upset and angry because as a committee member, I was told, literally what the man stated, this should have been brought to our attention way ahead of time for us to fix this problem. I've had 2 kids that graduated from the school in college and graduated college, and I still have a little one. I wish that this room was packed every school committee meeting because it's not just the budget. There's curriculums that we choose, a lot of votes, and guess what? It takes when something happens for this room to get packed, and it's sad. And I hope that everybody that's in this room has the same energy come out next school committee meeting and throughout the year in every budget hearing that we have moving forward. Have I seen some things that could have been corrected? Yes. Being on this committee for 4 years and looking at our policies, it just didn't happen with this committee. This was in the making for a long time. And the reason is this community keeps people on this board for a long time that get complacent and don't do their job as elected officials. It is your job. Yes, and it's an election year. It is your job to pick the right candidate that's going to represent you and that's going to do their job and look into the matters in the school department. My wife actually says, "What are you, the police officer of the school committee?" Want me to tell you why? Because I get every complaint from parents, staff, and administrators, and it's very concerning. Our job is to supervise the superintendent in making sure that he's following our policies. September 19th is important. The election is important. Just don't sit back and wait until something happens for you to show up. School is open 180 days a year. And this is the first time being on this committee that I've seen this room this packed. So I hope everybody that's in here has that same energy, every school committee meeting that we have, and show up, ask questions. For me to do my job effectively is working with the community. So I don't care what any political candidates pointing out this, resign, this, that, because guess what? If you was in my seat right now, you'll be dealing with this. Don't Monday quarterback this because you don't know what's happening. I don't even know what's happening. This whole body doesn't know what's happening until we conduct this audit. And before we move forward, my thought on this, before we take a vote, I am going to be requesting that 3 members of the community sit on this selection to address this audit team. And guess what? And that's going to be up to the board, and hopefully the attorney can let us know that we can do that, because I don't know if we can. So if we can, she's going to let me know. All right, so thank you for showing out. Thank you for bringing this to light. As we said, this took us by surprise. I still have questions and answers of like, how did this happen? This isn't $2. This is $14 million. And guess what? It only affects one person, the students.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Are there any other school committee members at this time? We could always have, if you decide before the meeting concurs, you can share something. We're going to go right into hearing of visitors, Attorney Spotterfoot, and I know there's a countdown, and do you mind?
Sure. So I'm just going to reference the relevant parts of the school committee policy with regard to the hearing of visitors. As the mayor mentioned, the comments are limited to 3 minutes. If your comment exceeds 3 minutes, we will ask you to stop at the 3-minute mark to make it fair for everybody who signed up tonight. And you'll be directed that you're welcome to email the balance of your comment or the entirety of your comment to the chair, to the mayor, for consideration, and that will be shared with the body. And just as a reminder, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals in the school committee. It's an individual's opportunity to express an opinion on issues within the school committee's authority, which primarily concerns the review of the superintendent, the review and approval of the budget of the district's public schools, and the educational goals and policies of the district's public schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Spotterfoot.
One may share that if they have remaining time, they may share on the comments, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So 3 minutes for the record. If someone uses 1 minute and wishes to pass the other 2 minutes to someone else, they can do that, correct?
No, the policy says it's 3 minutes per person and time can't be ceded to another person behind them.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Thank you. Good. That was a great question. Thank you. First individual that signed in, Lori Mason, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lori Mason. I have some important things I feel I need to say that the mayor, school committee members, and all my fellow Brocktonians need to hear. First, I was at the school committee meeting Friday, September 1st. The mayor called an executive session, and we were asked to leave. You all got up and left. Why? No one should have left. The mayor, the school committee members, work for us. We are the mayor, school committee members, employers. They can't ask us to leave a public building that we as taxpayers pay for. We also can't be forced to leave either. We have the right to exercise our First Amendment rights. We all have to unite, stand together, and speak up. Second, I believe there is a lot of nepotism that you are all appointing and hiring family members and friends for jobs they have little or no expertise in, and it should not be allowed, so stop it now. Third, there is $14.4 million missing, unaccounted for. The reason this money is missing is because of the mayor and the school committee members' actions or inactions. Yet instead of taking responsibility or accountability, you choose to so-called throw Superintendent Mike Thomas under the bus, stating he overspent $14.4 million. Well, it's all on video that the superintendent, Mike Thomas, asked and was approved by the mayor and the school committee members. So you should all be ashamed of yourself, and I think you should apologize and get him back here. Fourth, I'm requesting an independent audit of the school budget and city spending by an independent audit chosen by the citizens of Brockton. The independent auditor should have no ties to Brockton, the mayor, school committee members, or city councilors. I'm also requesting that a number of Brockton citizens be present with the auditor during the audit. All results of the audit should be made public. All should be held accountable and face consequences. And since we can't delegate, whatever, thank you for listening.
Mr. George Brickhouse, please. Mr. Brickhouse.
Countdown. Countdown, countdown, countdown. I'd like to say a prayer. I want to say a prayer for all of us that are here this evening. All of us. Because it is said that if two or more are in a room and you come and call upon me, then I will be with you. And so the Lord is in this room with us. And despite whatever is going on in terms of the financial aspect, the who, the what, the where, and the why will eventually be found.
That's right. That's right.
I thought I had more time, and I was going to address another aspect. I have a program called CAT, Critical Analytical Thinking, which has been brought before the school board before. And Mike Thomas and I had a scheduled appointment at Brockton High the Tuesday before the dam broke. At 3 o'clock, I got a call from Lisa at 12:30 telling me that the appointment was canceled. I asked, well, when it will be rescheduled, as sometimes appointments are canceled. And she said, it's not. So at that point in time, a few seconds passed, and I reminded Lisa that I don't shoot the deputy. So when the dam broke, I found out everything, as all of you found out, that is going on, which we don't know is going on. But the reality is something has transpired. I came this evening to talk about my program that Mike and I said, I'm going to meet with you at the school so I can sign your contract, then we can sign the contracts of your people to get the program into the school. Our children are the most important thing to anybody in this room. Our children are the most important thing, and critical analytical thinking is needed. It's desperately needed. I don't need to memorize something to get through life. I need to be able to look at it, analyze it, decide what's in my best interest, and move forward. Critical analytical thinking. My program is comprised of people from Brockton. Clay McKenzie, Brockton High School student, entrepreneur, 3 comic books. 3 comic books. 3 made comic books. Mimi DeSur, the art gallery, the Enzo Art Gallery, also working
Mr.
with...
Brickhouse, your time is up. If you want us to email the balance of your comments.
No, I don't want to email the balance of my comments. I just want to leave with one thing. The mayor knows about my program. The mayor likes my program. He and I have spoken about it, and he said, can we get it into the middle schools as soon as possible? Mike wanted to get it into the high school, into the 10th grade.
Mr. Brickhouse, we have to, out of fairness to everybody, we have to keep to 3 minutes. Thank you.
And Angelica Fonts, please. Angelica Fonts.
Seeing as community members are unable to cede their time, and I am here today with the coalition, I have no further comment at this moment, and I'll allow my coalition members to speak for us.
Thank you. Louise Fonts.
Right here.
Well, it's been a long time since I've been here. But I never thought I'll be here in this circumstance. My question goes for you, Mrs. Sullivan. You as a mayor, your job is to serve us, is to serve the people. You want to fix the city, but you're forgetting education. How are you going to fix a city that doesn't have a good high school? Or every single one of us that's 30 years old that has property in Brockton, you know what we're thinking? Leaving. Because we can't get a better high school for our kids. Your job is to go to get fundings for these people. We got teachers getting laid off. What is this? You can pay a cop $400,000 a year. You telling me you can't get money for teachers? How does that even make sense? People, these cops are getting more paid than the president of the United States. $1,000 a day. Who makes this money? Where's this money coming from? Taxpayers. And us, landlords, guess what? Our taxes goes up every year. So where's all this money going? That's my question to you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you want to fix the city? Let's stop paying attention a little bit to the police department, the fire department, parking lots. What do we need parking lots for? I understand we need to park in downtown, but the school is going to hell because we can't get our kids' education right. It's frustrating. As part of youth council, for 4 years in the school, I worked with Ms. Sharon Wilder, I worked with Dr. Zach, I worked with the governors, and the key was the kids of Brockton High School. But now we got a mayor that focuses on the road. The road is not even fixed anyways. I don't know where's all this money, taxpayers' money going. And it's not fair. It's not fair for all of us. Our kids deserve better. And we deserve a mayor that can attempt faculty meetings to know what's going on with our school system. Because you won't know if you're not involved. And these people is not going to go to you and tell Mr. Mayor, we need this. Those teachers, they're not going to go above their boss to tell you that this is a problem in Brockton High. It's a shame that all of us, one day eventually going to leave because of old politics. Because we use a political position as a career. And it shouldn't be, and that's the problem with the entire country. What's going on in Massachusetts? Isn't it the same thing? They get in a position, they don't want to leave. And they don't let us get involved in the community to help the people. And Brockton High, every day, is losing money. We're losing teachers. We're losing students. It's not fair. Enough is enough. We need to stop paying attention to this police department. And because all of us, mainly, we need our kids to have a better education. We don't want to leave Brockton. We love this place. And we're leaving it. We're leaving the city because of you guys. And Sullivan, you've been there all these years. I remember you from Jim Harrington. You were a city council. And I remember all this years. This game has to stop. We have to pay attention to our teachers. You have to come here and get involved. Can't just be sitting in the city hall and think the job is going to get done.
Michelle Henson, please.
Mayor, it is unfortunate. Mike, can you hear me now? All right. It's unfortunate that you feel that disagreement means that we don't like you. Personally, that hurts my feelings, and you ought to know better than that, at least from me, because I am not a person that just complains. Several of you in this room know that if there's something to compliment, I write you. I tell you. You know this personally, Mr. Mayor, and other people in this room know it too. As far as getting here to these meetings personally, I do the best that I can, like other people in this room. But just because we're not physically in this room, you best believe we're watching online, and you best believe we're talking about it in all of our spaces, okay? This is not a time for, this is not an election rah-rah thing. We're talking about our kids. I care about all the kids. One of the things I would like to know is when we got extra money from other places, why did the city reduce the money that they were giving to the school? Let's investigate that. And then you tell people, I shared a book. I shared some books in a parents group just to hear from a teacher that there's no budget for books for our babies in elementary school. We need regular books. We need storybooks. We need the books that show images that look like all the people in this room. And it doesn't need to come out of our teachers' pockets, and it shouldn't only be what we have to donate. Give us what our children deserve. And please, don't put it off that, oh, people don't like me. None of this is personal. I don't dislike any of you. I don't dislike anybody in city government, but I've been tagged as a troublemaker and tagged as someone that shouldn't be allowed to speak or shouldn't be part of things. And that's fine, that's cool. People know the dragon. I'm a roar anyway. All day, every day. I'm gonna do me. But don't ever take it personal, because I'm here for all the kids, your kid too. Thank you.
Jamal Brathwaite, please. Jamal Brathwaite.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamal Brathwaite, and I've got two questions. Question number one is that according to research performed by the Brockton Education Association that was published this morning, they did a time series analysis where they observed all the Chapter 70 money that came into the city of Brockton for over a 6-year time horizon. And what they observed was that for the past 4 of the past 5 years that we received Chapter 70 money that was not allocated to public education expenditures here in the city of Brockton. And when you sum the total figure together, it equates to about $14.3 million. Most recently in fiscal year 2024, they advised that there was about $5 million that was allocated in Chapter 70 monies that was not included in the fiscal year 24 budget. So my question is, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Sullivan, can you advise under what circumstance would Chapter 70 funds not be allocated for public education? So that's question number one. Is there a circumstance? Please explain that. And the second question is, can you advise us on the logic on why would we dismiss staff, specifically the CFO, before we're planning on doing an audit of the school department? Because it's the CFO who would be responsible over the internal controls on financial reporting. So what I'm concerned about is that if we dismiss Aldo already, when the external auditors come in to do audit of the books, they're going to have questions around internal controls, and the subject matter expert would be Aldo. And what I'm concerned is that without him being there, staff can just say, hey, Aldo's not here anymore. The CFO's gone, so we can't provide you with information, and because he was the real subject matter expert. So those are my two questions. Thank you for your patience, and I look forward to hearing your response.
Yvette Montero, please.
Good evening.
My name is Yvette Centeo Montero, and I'm a parent of 3 children in the Brockton Public Schools, and I am the president of the Brockton Interfaith Community. On Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, Brockton Interfaith Community, including the Youth School of Liberation, Restoration Community Action Ministry, and the Dark Coalition, in collaboration with Brockton Coalition for Education Justice, led an emergency community meeting inviting other organizations in the city of Brockton and open to all community members with the goal of unifying the community and establishing what the community wants to see from the mayor, school committee chair, the school committee, the Brockton School Committee, and the Brockton City Council in regards to the $14 million deficit from fiscal year 2023, and in regards to the entire city budget, which dictates the budget of public schools. At this meeting, we further committed to acting as a unified coalition of community members, leaders, and organizations to ensure the mayor, school committee, and the city council are held accountable to the community and the demands of the community. We, the Brockton community, represented by the undersigned community members and organizations, in a unified call for transparency, accountability, and investment in a sustainable future for Brockton, demand the following of the mayor, school committee chair, the Brockton School Committee, and Brockton City Council in an effort to move toward participatory budgeting in our city. I still got a minute, okay. In response to the school committee's assurance that an independent external audit be conducted to the school budget, we demand to ensure transparency and unbiased review that the school committee must choose an independent auditor from a list provided by this community coalition, which is not held by just a single organization, but open to every community member not holding a public office. This community coalition commits fully and publicly to the whole community to research independent auditors to ensure that not only are these auditors not connected to Brockton, as the mayor has previously stated, should be the case, but that they also have no private connections to any of our city officials. As the school budget is determined by the city budget, and because the school budget and allocation of funds towards the schools has been in question by the community for quite some time.
Excuse me, sorry, your time is up.
Okay.
Isabella Ratsky, I think it's Ratsky.
I'm Isabella Katsky, or Izzy. I am a 10th grader here at the high school, and I am a youth leader with the Youth School of Liberation, or Youth Soul. And I'm picking up where Yvette left off. Where did you leave off? As the school budget is determined by the city budget, and because the school budget and allocation of funds toward the schools has been in question by the community for quite some time, we demand and agree with the mayor that this audit must not only be an audit of the school budget, but an audit of the entire city budget as well. And we add it should dig into the past 10 years in order to find patterns of spending that predate the COVID-19 pandemic, the scope of which to include the financial decision-making process, all departments, and review of internal controls. We further demand that this independent auditor be contracted to work with the city for the next 5 years in order to stabilize our budgets and create sustainable practices for our city and schools. At the same time, this community coalition commits fully and publicly to the whole community to educate the community on city budgeting processes. We further demand that the outcomes of the audit, including all of the recommendations from the auditor, be presented publicly to the community with explanations provided in the major languages spoken across Brockton. In order to establish full transparency and accountability in the auditing process, we agree with Mr. Rodriguez, and we demand that 3 community leaders and 2 community alternates from this community coalition democratically chosen by the Community Coalition, who fully understand budgets and audits, be directly involved in the audit process. In the room anytime school committee members, including and not limited to the mayor/school committee chair, are in the room with auditors. We demand a transparent, digestible presentation of the detailed school and city budgets, not general overviews, including visuals and explanations in the major languages spoken across Brockton. Be presented to the community at recorded school committee and city council meetings with detailed line-itemed quarterly updates to the community every year, beginning right now in the fiscal year of 2024. I'm so good to say thank you. Okay, thank you.
Janine Freer. Janine Freer.
My name is Janine Frady. I am the mutual aid coordinator with the Brockton Interfaith Community, and I am also a mom with 2 students within the Brockton system. I have a 12 years old scheduled to come into the school next year, and I have a 4 years old right now that is suffering from the school budget cut. The 4 years old right now is in pre-K, and he is scheduled to go to school from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m., a school time that does not work for any working parent that works a 9 to 5. We, as a coordinator, we have a list of community that submit these demands, signed not only by us, but also any individual community members. The community members that have signed our requests are the Brockton Interfaith Community, the Brockton Coalition of Education for Justice, Collaborative Parent Leadership Action Network, Mass Collaboration to Prevent Gun Violence, Cope Matters LLC, Restoration Community Action Minister, DARRC Coalition, Releasing Roses Recipe. And let me apologize ahead for my English, since English it is my 3rd language. So I am a foreigner who came into the city of Brockton, and I established myself in here not only as a resident, as a parent, as a homeowner, and also as a citizen of U.S. And we welcome any organization, group, or individual community members to join us in signing these demands, some of which we know the school community does not have the authority to approve. And so we will also be bringing those demands to the city council. So we're hoping that you are welcome to our ideas, that we are open to our ideas, that you also look at yourself around this room, and I want you to really turn around and look at the person sitting next to you and realize that we don't know each other, but we need to do a better job to getting to know each other so we can do a better welcome, a better Brockton, a better school system. So we thank you, each of you, and I will turn this over for the next person.
Michaela Latour. Michaela.
Good evening. My name is Michaela Latour. I'm the Youth and Youth Allies Director of Brockton Interfaith Community, also known as the Youth Soul. I'm also a mother of 2 children in Brockton Public Schools, with another child who should be coming into Brockton Public Schools next year if we have universal pre-K and the money for that. This coalition of community members wants to be very clear that we are not making any accusations. We want only transparency through participatory budgeting, and we aim to unify the voices of the whole community. What Mr. Rodriguez said is fair. We need to turn out here like this every school committee meeting and every city council meeting. We need to be the community we keep saying we want. And I believe, based on the response we have gotten to the emergency meeting last night and to these demands that we have put forward as a community, that we are ready to be that community. So we ask that this document be formally entered into the meeting minutes, and we ask that you all be at the city council meeting as well on Monday, September 11th.
Kimberly Gibson, please, President of the BEA.
Good evening, Mayor Sullivan, members of the school committee, and the community. As president of the Brockton Education Association, I stand up here united with Stacy McDonald, president of the Brockton Education Support Professionals Association, and Joe Campbell, president of the Independent Brockton Administrative Assistants and Technical Employees Association. Our Brockton Coalition, comprised of over 2,100 unionized educators, notified all members in early August of information regarding the 2023-2024 school year budget deficit crisis that we have here in Brockton Public Schools. At that time, we were presented with the most up-to-date information provided by the district and the city, which we relayed to our members and was referred to earlier by one of the community members. Then last week, we learned of the full scope of Brockton Public Schools' financial troubles from the fiscal year 23 school year at the same time that parents and families found out about the $14.4 million overspending deficit in that budget year. We expect a full external audit that will be made public, translated in the many languages that we represent, when completed, that will detail all net and non-net school expenses for the 2022-2023, as well as this coming fiscal school year, outlining where all money was spent last year and where the additional overspending occurred. We believe we know where some of that is. Look at your transportation department. We remain committed to ensuring that students have a positive experience as they return to the classroom. Our students are our top priority, and it is vital that the new school year begins smoothly and positively for them. Our members will continue to work with families and district administration to provide our students with both the opportunities and support that they need for success. In closing, we expect you to listen carefully to our collective comments and the comments of this community, to take them seriously when discussing how to move forward and ensuring that Brockton schools are properly funded and supported by this city. Thank you all.
Jenny Maloney. Sorry, maybe it says Jerry Maloney. Jerry Maloney, apologize.
Okay. Mayor Sullivan and fellow Brocktonian School Committee members, I'd probably have a few questions. One, with what I've heard from right now, is that probably recommend that the school committee and the mayor do a lot closer checks and balances with the school department before, not only, probably every couple of months, to see what is left in the budget so that you don't get into this kind of a problem again. I would also like to ask you members of the school committee, what are you paying to have the buses stored at the fairgrounds? Now, I heard it was $400,000 a year. Is that correct? Or do you have any idea? Pardon? 35 a year? 535. Then if you're spending that kind of money to park them over there, then I think that you have ample room here to park the 100 buses, save that money and put it towards something else, hire if necessary to have security for the buses 24 hours a day, and then you'll save a lot of money in your budget to have it for something else. I'd also recommend that somebody look at the school buses themselves to this extent. When I see them floating around the city at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after the middle of August, what are they doing? And I've seen them other times at 1 Pearl Street. They're at 10 o'clock in the morning, dropping a couple of people off. Where is the oversight for the school buses? And I'll end with that. Thank you.
Joe Walker.
I'll be brief since most of what I wanted to say was already covered with the Community Coalition behind me. In particular, I wanted to reinforce the importance of having the audit go back far enough to identify patterns and why common accounting practices weren't followed. The other thing is, I think that it's a problem that you were surprised about this, and that there was a lack of communication between City Hall and the school regarding the budget. You shouldn't be surprised, we shouldn't be surprised, and I hope we can avoid more surprises about this in the future.
Ivelisse Carabello.
Hello, my name is Ivelisse Caraballo, and I am the Executive Director of C-Plan, which is the Collaborative Parent Leadership Action Network. I just wanted to concur with what was said before, that we are part of the coalition with the demands, and I just wanted to share that. I also want to be able to say that as part of C-Plan, which is a parent-led organization building parent leaders in education advocacy, I also chair the Parent Advisory Council. We were working with Superintendent Mike Thomas to include and amplify the parent voice in all things. And we also work with a lot of administrators across the district with anything having to do with family engagement. And so I just wanted to let parents know that we are here to amplify their voices in those spaces. And although there are a lot of people here that that enjoy and love the fact that this place is filled, I guarantee you that the people that should be here cannot be here due to other barriers, whether it be the language barriers, whether it be work schedules, and other things that really don't allow them to be here. I want to let folks know that despite the fact that they might not be here, their voices are making it to those decision-making bodies. And so I wanted to kind of share who we are and why we exist, and I hope to continue to do the work with the new superintendent. Thank you.
I apologize. I think it says Lissy McKenzie. Lissy?
Dr. Lise McKenzie, Brockton High School alum and Brockton High School parent. I want to make sure I say again, loud and clear, I am not ashamed to represent the many parents and caretakers who are not able to attend this meeting because they are working 2 to 3 jobs to provide for our kids who walk these halls. We are a proud majority minority city, and we should not be shamed if we are not able to attend these meetings, because we have to pick and choose which meetings and which activities to attend for our kids. I thought the school committee meeting members represented all of us, not just those who can attend meetings. Please be sure to let us know which staff members benefited from the $14.4 million overspending. Also, please be sure to let us know why our teachers were laid off for no reason.
John C. Williams.
Good evening. My name is John C. Williams. I'm a father of 5 children here, 3 that are still in the public schools here in Brockton. I've come before this board multiple times. I've come before you. I've come before your predecessors. I've spoken to the community. This shouldn't be a surprise. I've heard some of you say you were surprised. I've heard all of you say you just found out in August. I've been talking about this for almost 2 years. I've come before you and said it. I told you to come into the schools. Ms. Eilis said, you are us. No, you're not. We elected you to watch what was going on. I heard Judy Sullivan say it's not this posting on social media and all that's not fair to the kids. No, the fact that the money's gone isn't fair to the kids. I heard school committee member Rodriguez say that it's sad that it takes this to come out and that it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. We're not Monday morning quarterbacking. We're telling you that you failed at your job. All of you sitting at that table failed at your job. There is an audit process. You're supposed to watch the money. You're not supposed to wait until August and say, oh, they didn't tell me until August, and make it look like the superintendent stole money. You let that embezzlement story and that narrative roll on a superintendent that did so much for this school system and for our kids just to protect your political interests, just to protect your behind. And what's crazy is Mike has the stomach to hold that. He held it for you, and you still tried to make him look like a thief. All of you, I'm gonna say it should resign. But as I know that you won't, as we move forward, this should be a very transparent process. None of you should be on the board of looking at an independent audit. You had your chance to watch our money, and you failed. And with my last 15 seconds, the last time I was here, somebody spoke to me towards my character. That same person is being sued by the head of school police and was terminated by DOC for assaulting an inmate.
Mr. Williams,
and
it's time.
threatening the superintendent of the
Mr.
prison's
Williams.
life. Don't ever. I've
Excuse
worked
me.
for these kids
Time.
in this city
Excuse
for
me.
years, over a decade.
Excuse
Don't ever
me.
question my character.
Thank you.
Patrick Quinn, please. Patrick Quinn.
Wow, okay, the rule of law is very important. I'll tell you, I don't own any cats because I'm allergic to them, but George, I have one of your cats in my house. Critical analytical thinking. School committee
So my name is Patrick Quinn. I'm a proud graduate of this institution, 1991, a few years after the mayor. Yes, I got some class members here. I don't know if anyone failed here. I am a successful filmmaker in my career, and I learned that success from the core values here in the city, right? And I think all of you did exactly what you did right. And unfortunately, though, we're in an endemic here in Brockton, and it's mediocrity. What you have done is just mediocrity. There's evidence everywhere within the city. The other day, our photographer from the Enterprise posted a swastika graffitied in this building that apparently had been there for a while. Well, you know what? I went there, I checked today. It's gone. It's awesome, exactly. It should be gone. It should have been gone years ago when I replaced it. But you know what the whole thing is, though? I got the pictures here. You can go there tonight and look at it. This is the bigger issue. $14 million is part of the symptom of the bigger issue of mediocrity in this community. You go down there, and the column next to it has graffiti all over it, too. So then I walked the whole building, and this institution's amazing. I loved going here, but you know what? It was a hot, sunny day, and I saw the kids leaving here, and it was like they were running out of here like they were going to get killed because there's no shade, there's no trees, you know? But I'm shocked that we removed the swastika, but not the rest of the graffiti. So there's something that's not happening here. So we're doing a great job at being mediocre, but where's the critical analytical thinking? And in my field, some of my friends have called what's called eating. You eat what you do. Evidence of active thinking. And that, to me, today, with the swastika gone, but the rest of the graffiti there, shows no one's actively thinking. So together, and I'll tell you, as a successful Brocktonian, I can go anywhere I want, but I chose to come back to Brockton. You know why? Because I believe in what Mayor Sullivan's saying, where Brockton is where better begins. But you know what? It only begins if we all have a cat and we all start eating what we do. Okay? So I'm going to challenge the school committee here tonight. Tomorrow, or whenever you can, go walk all the properties of the schools. I'd love to go walk the Raymond School I went to, and I'll show you it's a disgrace. As a professional, it's a disgrace. And this isn't about money, it's about how we manage our own selves. So the people managing it have done a great job at managing it at that level. But here in Brockton, we are a city of champions. We expect champion results, and we want them now. What did we say earlier? Enough is enough. We can do this together, but ultimately, we have to do this together and start analyzing things. Sorry, thanks so much. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Dr. Denise Baker, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Denise Baker Enegbenebo, but I'm known in the city of Brockton as Denise Baker. So I'm not happy that I'm here. And I want to say to the school committee that you did a profound job of dragging Mike Thomas through the mud. You really did. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning watching your YouTube videos of your school committees. Okay, every last one of you said you didn't know. You knew. You knew. You knew. Okay? You knew. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why you knew. Because your own protocols say that Mike Thomas, as the superintendent, comes to a meeting, makes a request of what he needs, and then the school committee either approves or denies or tables. Okay? Then what happens is there's a process where you guys look at it again, okay, and decide whether you're going to approve it. Okay? And Mike Thomas came and did what he was supposed to do, and you approved it. You approved it. So stop saying you don't know where the money went. I'm going to tell you where your money went. I'm going to tell you where your money went. Okay? Your money went to the transportation contract for bus drivers. When you bought those spanking new buses, $535,000 to park them, but you didn't talk about the contract that you had for bus drivers. I can't tell you how upset I am. Okay? You did not take a look when Mike Thomas came to you in a meeting. You should be watching your own videos. If you go in your own YouTube school committee meetings, you approved for him to buy metal detectors after there were 2 events at the high school that involved weapons. Okay? So that's where your $14 million. Those metal detectors alone were $17,000 a piece, and you had to buy 14 of them. Okay? You can keep looking at that clock, okay? Because you should be ashamed of yourself, every last one of you. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is a modern day lynching for Mike Thomas, who was trying to do the best he could under very difficult circumstances. You know where the money went, because by your own protocols, there's so many steps that Mike Thomas had to take to bring that to you. So guess what? I think every last one of you should be outvoted.
That concludes hearing of visitors that lawfully signed in. We'll continue. We do have other matters tonight. The consent agenda, which is agenda item 3, subsection A and B. What is the will of the school committee relative to A and B?
Section B1, where is the money?
Is there a motion to take them out of order, take them collectively, take them one at a time? What is the will of the committee, please?
Motion to approve collectively.
Motion on the floor. Motion was, who seconded that?
Me.
Okay. Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. I'll read them into the record. A is the request for authorization to submit proposal and expenditures of funds. FY 2024, request for the Perkins Strengthening Career and Technical Education Grant in the amount of $124,262. The next one is the FY 2024 Hate Crimes Prevention Grant in the amount of $50,000 even. The last one is FY 2024, the Klarman Family Foundation Instrument Fund in the amount of $21,923. That is encompassing subsection A. Subsection B is the acceptance of human resources notifications, appointments, certified personnel, appointments, non-certified, personal actions, which is leaves of absence, resignations, and retirements. There is a motion. It was properly seconded. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Consent agenda does pass in its entirety. We now have agenda 4. And again, I want to thank Dr. Jim Cobbs as the acting superintendent. Today being the first day, Dr. Cobbs, I know I spoke to you several times, extremely busy. What is the report of the superintendent of schools, Dr. Cobbs?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, school committee. Good evening, community. We have a report that I'll go through. That we have actually a videotape to present, but in an overall nutshell for the school opening, I don't want to downplay what went on every school, but to say that it was a regular school opening without any major incidents is pretty much what happened. We will go through some slides, but. We that's we didn't have any major incidents. We had a few hiccups, and we'll go through the report. Okay. First day snapshot. So again, proficiency. We have 4 years left on the proficiency commitment. So out of the 5 years. So this is what it looked like. The schools, every school put on a opening day for their students. They had activities that get to know their students, to find their assignments, their classes, their lockers, get their computers. But That's to give you an idea of what it looked like across the district. I should move over here so I can see this better. Thank you. Even better. So first day highlights, pervasive focus on building positive relationships. Staff were committed to getting to know their students through highly engaging activities. Facilities were sparkling, bright, and clean, so kudos to the facilities department. They always do an outstanding job every summer to get the school ready. Staff kept the focus on students. And if that, in a nutshell, was the bottom line of the whole day, and the focus for opening day was focus on students. And just as I asked them to do, that's what they did. I'll go back, please, one. So this is a quote from a first grade student. "Learning is the best thing because I love to be smart." A grade 1 student at the Baker School. Successful first day of school so far. He likes it and says his teachers are nice. I'll take it. We'll take it. So I actually had a comment from others that were at the school here today. I spent the day here in Brockton High School in the corridors with the students and shoulder to shoulder with the leadership staff and teachers. The comment was, it was calm. And for Brockton High School, I'll take it. So these are some numbers, just the total enrollment numbers for each school and each grade. I won't go through all that, you can read it. Next slide. So this is the middle school level total enrollment and enrollment by school. And the grand total for the high school, the grand total of 15,886 students, which puts us about on par with last year, how we finished last year. So we didn't drop any more students per enrollment. So we're continuing to grow. We have 300 in the queue that may be processed to come in soon. Transportation update, we had 61 buses in service, 65 microvans, 7 wheelchair vans, 5 7D vans, 135 Ford drivers on the road today with 6 additional in training. Connect with each school to remain informed of any issues, which there were no issues except for we had a minor delay kicking off, about a 15-minute delay, but we mostly made up through the day. Working with communications department to notify families of any anticipated delays via text, and we are aiming to test pilot the new bus app so that parents can find their students on where the buses are, but we decided not to launch that at the beginning of school year with much else going on. Thank you. Overview from the Deputy Superintendent Sharon Wolder and the Assistant Superintendent.
So good evening. I want to start by saying to the families here, thank you for continuing to trust your children in the school system. And thank you to our children who showed up today and our educators who showed up today. Under the conditions that we are currently in, as you can tell, there are some challenges here. But it is our responsibility to make sure we do the best that we can to open the doors and give our students the best opportunity to learn that is possible. And we know there are some challenges, and we're not here to stand and talk about where's the money. We're here to talk about what we can do for kids, because no matter what,
Excuse me,
we have
Deputy.
got to.
Zezitu, you're not even from this community, bro. You're interrupting it. She's trying to get information for people that actually live here. Can you just be quiet? Sarge, can you remove him? Because you're disturbing a meeting, bro. Come on, it doesn't matter. You're being...
You're being disrespectful. Call me by my first name, sir. My real name.
We have to, with all due respect, everybody, we're here to listen and learn. I said at the beginning. So could we please have the respect for Deputy Superintendent Sharon Walder at this time? Please, please. We want to hear from her, and everybody is here to listen and learn. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to keep going because it really is important to hear that we had 1,500 or 15,000 kids who are enrolled in our school system, and we had kids who showed up today. It was a hot day. It was a challenging day. Yes, we do still have some classes that aren't covered because we're still hiring people. We talk about cuts, but we also have some openings. And you heard me say a couple of meetings ago, if you know someone who wants to teach in the Brockton Public Schools, yes, we've had some challenges, but it's a great school system to continue to work in, and we do have some positions that we're still filling. So please don't lose sight of that. We do have some paraprofessional positions that are also still being filled. So there were some spaces when you get home and you talk to your children, or your children come home and they might say there were some gaps there. There are some gaps there. It doesn't mean that those gaps are there forever. It means that we are still in the process of getting some of the positions filled. So please know that. We also had a challenge today with our Infinite Campus system that had nothing to do with Brockton. It was a national problem. Infinite Campus went down nationally. So if you're a high school student, that matters more than if you're in elementary or middle school. So right as we're getting Brockton High rolling and kids are coming in, getting their laptops, their IDs, and figuring things out, a national problem happened and the system went down. And so we had to pivot. On the first day of school, you got to plan differently. You got to think through, you got to problem solve, and you got to work around some of the problems that you have to make sure that kids have a good day. And so it was a challenging first day, but we're going to keep going. It's up and running. We printed some things out just in case it goes down again, and we continue to work through what it takes to run our school system. And those challenges that we face, we're going to get beyond them, because the kids who show up every day deserve the best possible education we can give them. They're brilliant, they're hungry to learn, they have a right to learn, and we have a responsibility to give them all of that. And so I'm starting with a thank you, because under the circumstances, we could have not had the doors open, and they're open and they're running, and we have kids who showed up to places that people cared about them, welcomed them, and really worked hard to try to make it so that they could have a positive first day. And tomorrow will be a positive second day. We have to keep moving. We have to. And whatever happens financially, ultimately, our kids deserve us there every day working as hard as we can to make sure that when they walk through the doors, they are getting the education they deserve. And so that's when you see this team come up, that's where our focus is, because it's our responsibility to make sure we are supporting our schools to give our kids what they deserve. So we have a snapshot of elementary, so I'm going to pass this off to Dr. Karen Spalding so she can talk about some of our youngest students who arrived today.
Thank you. So my name's Karen Spalding, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning Pre-K through 5. I'm also going to bring up Dr. Labilois, who is the Assistant Superintendent for Office of Unified Services. And between he and I, we made it to every elementary school at least once today, as well as yesterday. And I feel a little silly up here telling you about the first day of school for elementary students, because if you were ever 5, and I think you probably were, maybe 4, 5, or if you're a parent, a guardian, an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, a grandpa, there is one word to describe the first day of school in elementary, at the elementary level, and it is joy. Fun's a good one too. I like happiness as well. It is pure joy. And it brought joy to my heart, and I'm sure others would say it, to see what happens. It's magical on the first day. And Deputy Superintendent Wolder just said it. I will repeat it. We are here for your children. We are here for our children. That's what we do, and that's what we're dedicated to. And so what we saw out in elementary land, also known as the land of rainbows and unicorns, we saw school staff who were smiling, arms wide open, sweating, but smiling with arms wide open, welcoming back students and families. We saw hugs from parents and guardians, grandmas and grandpas and neighbors, hugs that were just full of pride and looking forward to what was coming in the school year. I want to especially thank our teachers, our principals, our staff members, our custodians. Those floors were gleaming, and they just made such welcoming spaces for bringing children back. I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Labilois, who will share with you what he saw.
Thank you, Dr. Spalding. Also a big shout out to Chartwell's. It was cheeseburger day, if anybody that has an elementary student. And the lunch, by all reports, was excellent. Our principals, assistant principals, and school staff did do a great job getting the traffic moving. As you know, some of our schools are not in the best locations relative to drop off and pick up, but we did our best job in keeping it moving. The buses all rolled on time this morning, all students inside their buildings ready and eager to learn in record time. So it was a great first day of all accounts in terms of teaching routines, particularly for our youngest learners. Lots of hugs, a lot of pride from family members, and I particularly enjoyed my time at the Therapeutic Day School, but walking in the building this morning was just filled with joy and happiness at their new location. It is bright, it is full of sun and natural light, and the mood was just phenomenal. So all in all, a wonderful first day from the elementary level. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Connors for middle schools. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not. Dr. Renee Haywood.
Hi, I'm Dr. Renee Haywood. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I visited the middle schools and some other schools, and Sean Precious also visited some of the middle schools. There was lots of excitement, lots of happy middle schoolers. You know, that could be that in-between awkward phase. You saw little sixth graders like this high, and then you saw some that were this high, and so there's such a varied look, you know, of those middle schoolers. So that was really exciting. There were a few newer principals that I got to visit, and they were just so excited just to have this fresh year to start with the kids. What was really great was the activities that I was able to witness. There was just a lot of, I don't know, enthusiasm. We're here on this first day. Let's do this game. Let's get to know each other. In one room, there was a bunch of kids who were playing a Jeopardy game to just get to, have some fun, not focus on learning right away, but just to kind of get to know who each other are. And then also in another room, there was a group that was just hearing the expectations of, what does this look like to be in middle school? What are our expectations with regards to the phones? What does it, feel like going through the halls? How should you behave? Because all of that is really important in setting the tone for the school year, because you have to set an atmosphere where students belong, and that was also a really great highlight. You belong here, as you see on the bottom right. Kids need to feel like they belong in the space where they learn, so that they can let their guard down and actually learn and not worry about feeling safe or unsafe. And that is really, if we create a great environment for our kids, then they can be very successful in learning. They'll be willing to learn anything from you if they know that you care and that they know that you've made every effort to make them feel safe. It was calm and orderly, as much as middle school. I mean, we don't want them to be so boring and sitting there. We want the life. And so we saw a whole mix of all of that. And the leadership teams were all together. That was really great to see the adults all coming together. Where do you need to go? All hands on deck. And if a kid looked lost, there were like a couple that already swooped in to tell them where they could go and ushered them there. Actually, not just pointed to a space, but actually walked them to where they needed to go. They didn't have to figure all this out on their own, which was really great. So I'm really happy that I had an opportunity to go and visit. I'll be visiting throughout the year anyways to a variety of schools, but that's the snapshot of middle school from Dr. Haywood's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Haywood. I missed being at the middle schools today. Dr. Michelle Connors, Assistant Superintendent, 6 through 12 here in Brockton. I was fortunate enough to be in 3 high schools at once today. That's my superpower. So as you may know, our Brockton Virtual Learning Academy teachers and leadership team are housed at Brockton High on the 3rd floor of the Green Building. Our Edison Day Academy, our former champion high school, is also on the 3rd floor of the Green Building, a big shift. And we have the largest high school in the Commonwealth, Brockton High School, all on the same physical plant. So I was able to get around. I appreciate Dr. Cobb saying it was calm, because when you have almost 4,000 students in a building, you appreciate calm. But the excitement in the air was palpable. The students were excited to be there, and you all know they're facing some new policies and procedures and structures and leadership teams, and they handled it all in stride. One young lady said, "I am so excited to be here. I thought she was a senior." She's only a junior and she's still excited. We had some student problem solvers with Infinite Campus, DJ and Jose. I'm not going to call out your last names because we know how teenagers are, but they came into the principal's conference room and helped us troubleshoot on how students could access Infinite Campus, because if you want to be critical and analytical thinkers, talk to a teenager in technology. They have that down. I was able to sit with students and help. Everybody took the Infinite Campus, I'm going to call it a meltdown, in stride. I really commend every adult at the Brockton High physical plant who worked with the students today. You all made it possible. You were in the hallways, you were in the cafeterias, you were in the classrooms. It was incredibly positive and it felt great to be there. Also, Promise College and Career Academy moved from their 440 Belmont Street location to Summer Street. They opened their doors, adding a new class of students today, so we now have 9th and 10th grade there. Our Assistant Superintendent, Sean Precious, was able to visit there today and said it was smooth sailing. So I'm very happy to speak on 4 of our 5 high schools. Assistant Superintendent Precious will also speak about our therapeutic day school. So it was wonderful. I'm looking forward to day 2 tomorrow. I will wear my sneakers, though. I chose little sandals over function. So I'm going to pass it over to Assistant Superintendent Precious at this time. Thank you.
Hey everyone, good evening. First of all, thank you all for engaging with us and listening to this update on a great first day. And to the nearly 500 people that are watching online right now, thanks for tuning in. So I visited a few of our middle schools. I visited Promise, and I think there is a slide here on BVL, Huntington. So I've spent the last couple of days, including this morning, visiting Huntington, our therapeutic day school. And as Dr. LeBillois referenced, it's just an incredible new environment for our students there. They were really happy and really satisfied with the learning environment. There were staff that were leading like this scavenger hunt, sort of a first day activity that everyone was having a lot of fun, and the space there is making a huge difference. So again, thank you all. I think, am I the last one? Okay. Dr. Connors is coming back for BVLA. Okay.
So as Dr. Spalding and I often do, we confer and we're like, oh, let's talk separately about the virtual school. My apologies to the BVLA family. Those grades 2 through 12, so that's elementary, middle, and high school. Again, on the 3rd floor, our teachers are all in person, working collaboratively, some in some shared spaces. That is always exciting to walk around, peek your head in because you don't want to disturb them as they're learning online, and just see the engagement and excitement from not only our teachers, but especially our students who are learning from home, some in small groups together with siblings in different classes, so it's very exciting. So I really want to give a shout out. We all remember from COVID what virtual teaching is like. Our teachers and staff at BVLA are very, very close to mastering it, and they are certainly a model for others. So I would be remiss if we didn't call them out separately. So thank you. Okay. I don't know.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Members of the school committee, do you have any questions for, start with Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It's always exciting the first day of school, and I always enjoy visiting the schools in the morning. My only question is how do things go as far as the new policies that we put into place, as far as no hoodies on, no hoodie on, and the cell phone? How were they the first day?
So as you can imagine, you put in a policy at the end of August. Kids came in. They haven't had a chance to learn it. And so we have to be realistic about how that goes. And so it starts with getting them into the building, getting them with their laptops, their IDs, and finding their way around. In that process, also engaging in conversations with them about the change in the policies. Because we decide on something and somehow we expect kids to know it and follow it. As I was talking to one student on her way to, with me to pick up a lanyard for her ID, and her midriff was showing, and I said, there's a policy that says we don't show our midriffs. And she said, you know what it's like on the first day of school. You want to show up looking your best. And that's the way she felt about herself on her first day of school. So I understand that when they got up and got ready to go to school, it's very much a thought for a teenage child about how you are dressed. And so we are going to have to work with them consistently. And by the way, it was probably 95 degrees in the building. We will have to work with them consistently on learning what those policies are, with the cell phones, with the attendance, with a dress code, because policies were done and then school starts. They don't know it just because it passed here and you spent a lot of time talking about it. And some of the community members showed up for some of that. Most of the kids weren't tuned into that. So we have some work to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Azak. Any additional questions from members of the committee? Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you as well.
So the next is the attendance and enrollment. The staffing. Dr. Moran, did you want to speak to that? As far as just staffing, where we are with staffing, hiring, open positions.
Could I just say one thing?
On the
I
last
just
section.
missed, I just want to say
On
one.
the last section?
Yeah.
Dr. Moran, good evening. Mrs. Sullivan, you had a question on the last presentation?
I just wanted to say to the executive team, great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Moran?
Yeah, you got to get closer.
There are some positions being filled still at this time, and the assistant superintendent worked hard to be sure that there were no gaps, so that there were adults in all of the classrooms to each.
There you go. You got it.
There you go.
Thank you, Jamie. I apologize. Again, the assistant superintendents worked hard to be sure that there were adults in each one of the classrooms to greet the children today. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be sure that we're continuing to hire and prioritizing where we may continue to need to hire staff across the district.
Any questions for Dr. Moran relative to that? Thank you, Dr. Moran.
Thank you, Dr. Moran. So the last item on the superintendent's report is the attendance and enrollment report, which unfortunately, due to the crash for the Infinite Campus system, we don't have a roll-up yet of what the actual attendance was, because, we can get that tomorrow, but we didn't have it in time for this meeting.
Okay. But we'll have that tomorrow. Dr. Cobbs will have that tomorrow?
Yes.
For tomorrow's, okay. Subsection B on agenda item 4 is items to refer to subcommittee. Are there any matters that are being referred to subcommittee at this time? We'll move on. Agenda 5 is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before us tonight? I'll go with Mrs. Rivas Mendez, followed by Mr. Homer, please.
I didn't speak earlier because I like to listen, but I personally want to thank everybody that spoke. And I want to say your name because I really heard as you were speaking. That was Lori Mason, George, Angelica, Luis, Michelle, Jamal, Yvette, Isabella, also Izzy, Janine, Michaela, Jamal, Kim Gibson, Jerry, Joe, Evelise, Dr. Liz, John Williams, Patrick, Dr. Denise Baker, also known as Denise Baker, and also, it was lastly Denise Baker. I have to say that I feel your feelings for sure, and I understand as an elected individual, the reflection of failure is on us, and you guys are accountable to us. So I do feel the frustration, and I understand as school committee, as we review and approve the budget, I can see where your frustration is mainly on us. I do have to say that one thing that definitely frustrates me is that I never seen a deficit in an all-white community in a suburb. So seeing that communities of color are consistently getting these deficits or feeling as we're never ahead, right? We're always behind. I have to say I feel that, especially being on this seat. But one thing I know from my community, especially from the community of Brockton, is resiliency. And I have to say that when things are ugly, not that they get pretty right away, but we are here together, unified, to work collaboratively to do better and to do better for our students. And everybody here, one thing I understand is that leaders should make other great leaders, and those great leaders are our students. Our students are the present, and they are the future as well. So I'm not here to say much more, because personally, I think the audit is going to be transparent and say that. And I honestly don't even know if I should apologize, because I understand the failures on us, and I understand you all should hold us accountable. And I greatly appreciate that you continuously hold us accountable. But I hope that the audit really gives us all more answers, and that those answers help us to do better, being in this position as an elected official, but also in our community, and teaches our students to consistently advocate for themselves. So thank you for everybody that was here, everybody that was watching, and like Evelisa said, who's part of C-Plan, those that can't make it, I know their voice is still here, and that matters.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Rivas-Mendez. Mr. Homer, please.
Thank you. The Facilities Usage and Planning Subcommittee, we had met earlier at the end of the last school year, and I know there's still some unfinished business for that subcommittee as well, so I'm just planning ahead that we would be arranging another time to meet again and continue our work, especially with regards to Keith Field and the Boys and Girls Club. I know we had some unfinished business left with that at the end of the last school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Homer. Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. So the Policy Manual Subcommittee, this Friday you will get in your packets the revisions from last year for the policy manual, and we will be scheduling a meeting. So Melinda and I will be coordinating a date for the 4 members to meet, so we can go over that and so we can finalize the policies that went into place June of 2022. And that way it can come before the committee once they're done. And we also have Attorney Spatafor is going to finalize with us. But just in this week's packet, we're going to give you a few weeks to review them. It's a sizable packet. And then we will be meeting probably end of September, first week in October.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any additional comments relative to new business? I will, as the chair, say that I'm making a pledge right now to Kim Gibson and the other union member presidents. I'm going to have Mr. Clarkson, the CFO, vet out that letter tomorrow, and then we're going to respectfully request to meet with you on Friday. You deserve those answers, and we will give you those answers. Thank you. Are there any additional comments from school committee members relative to unfinished business? We will then go on to Agenda 6, which is new business, discussion and potential vote BPS-CTE admissions policies and procedures, and I believe the acting superintendent, Dr. Cobbs, had some comments on that.
Yes, we have a presentation from the director of our CTE program, Career Technical Education, Dr. Elvio Ferreira. He could not be here tonight to do the presentation, so we would like to table that to the next meeting so he can do his presentation. At that time, we'll request a vote on it.
So under Robert's rules, we wouldn't want to entertain a motion to table. We would simply want to entertain a motion to postpone. So is there a motion to postpone that matter for the next school committee meeting as articulated by the acting superintendent? Entertain a motion on that?
Make a motion to postpone the discussion and vote so that we can have Mr. Elvio D'Souza in attendance to make his presentation for the school committee.
At the next regular
The next
scheduled
regular meeting, yes.
So motion made by Ms. Homer, is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Azak, duly seconded. All in favor of that, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, kindly raise your hand. Passes, and we will put that on the agenda for the next one. Are there any other matters before we go on to the last agenda item from any members of the school committee? Seeing none, I do entertain a motion to, first of all, I do want to thank everybody for being here tonight. A lot of people are trying to juggle a lot of things with family. I get that, especially with young children. A lot of people took off work tonight to come here, and that speaks volumes for each and every one of you. And we are definitely listening to you. Rest assured, everybody that spoke, we're going to listen to you, and we're going to continue to be transparent. So, is there a motion? Ms. Azak, please.
Mrs. Campbell just brought it to our attention that we need to have a motion to move the school committee meeting on the 19th because it is election day. Move it to the 20th.
Motion to move.
Do they want to? I mean, it is election day.
So the uniqueness of this year's election is usually the preliminary, there is school. This year, there is no school that day, and then, of course, in November, there's no school. What is the will of the committee? Would you like to postpone it for 24 hours and do it the following day, which would be the 20th, but it's whatever the will of the committee?
Motion to move the September 19th meeting to September 20th.
So motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second. So just to articulate the motion again, it would be from Tuesday, the 19th, to Wednesday, the 20th, 7 p.m., regular schedule. This motion on the floor is properly seconded. All in favor of that, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. It does pass. Attorney Spotted, for not to put you on the spot, but didn't we need to have another meeting, a special meeting coming up, a regular scheduled meeting, but
I think given the interest in potentially including members of the public, I would need some time to look at how we would effectively do that.
good.
So I would respectfully ask just for 24 hours.
Of course.
to do research on that.
Of course.
Back in touch with you as chair.
And the vice chair and the entire committee. Okay. Is there any other matters before us tonight? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Is there a second? Second by who? I'm sorry. Ms. Azak. Motion was made by Mrs. Sullivan. It was properly seconded by Ms. Azak. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. It does pass. We are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening. Drive careful.